Well, we're going to get straight to a big debate. It's about negligence in our private hospitals. It's about accountability. It's about seeking justice. It's about getting justice. But when we use the word justice, is there perhaps in the manner in which the cases of the Fortis Hospital in Gurgaon and the Max Hospital here in Delhi, the way they've been reported, the way they've been discussed, what about the interests of patients, thousands of them, who actually get treated in these hospitals? Are there double standards when the government deals with private hospitals and public hospitals? That's what we are looking at today. Joining us now to look at this, Jayant Singh is the father of Adya, the little child who died of dengue at Fortis Hospital. He's got very strong views on how his daughter was treated, and thank you for coming. I understand that your family is still, in a state of shock in dealing with this. Dr. Narottam Puri, advisor at Fortis Healthcare, with us as well. Dr. Vijay Agarwal is a pediatrician and he's speaking for Max Hospital in this particular case. Ashish Khaitan is the spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. He's with us. Dr. K.K. Agarwal, president of the Indian Medical Association, with us as well on the program. And Rajni Sharma, an arthritis patient at Max, joins us as well. Let me first come to you, Jayant. There's been an entire case now against Fortis. There is a government report which has come out. They say that there has been cases of negligence which has taken place. They've made a lot of observations. There are statements which have been made by ministers. Is that enough for you to feel that justice has been delivered in your case?
No. So the reason I brought up this case was not just for my case. This is something which is happening in private hospitals, and people have been suffering at their hands. So the reason why I came forward was to highlight this thing, which is the corruption that is prevalent in these hospitals in India. And people are helpless, they have to go to these hospitals. So take my case, we stated that the treatment was prolonged and the baby was in that condition, they didn't do the MRI. That was the point which we raised. And look at the findings which the committee has come out. They have come out with findings of overpricing on most of the things, not reporting the dengue cases, not reporting, and in the blood bank also they have found out some issues. They have found out the profit margin they are charging. They have found out issues with the LAMA thing, how the LAMA procedure was done. So it was just one case which came into focus, and the committee found out multiple things which was not even our area of concern.
But Jan, tell me this. They've also found out other things. For example, when you talk about LAMA or leave against medical advice, the report says this particular doctor was of the opinion that you were well informed about the consequences of LAMA. It was on the part of the parents, it was against morality to leave the hospital against medical advice in such a critical case. And yes, of course, you're absolutely right when they said that it was unethical for the doctor to stop the assisted ventilation. But what I'm trying to ask you is that there seems to be, indicators on both sides over here, and everybody understands your loss. But what about the thousands of patients or tens of thousands of patients who could possibly suffer if a hospital was shut down? Would you want them to suffer as well?
No. So like we say 75% our healthcare is in private hospitals. So that can be easily accommodated in the remaining hospitals.
Where can it be accommodated?
All the hospitals are there. So when we say accountability of the hospitals, so where does the accountability of the hospitals lie? So if we try to scrutinize all the cases in the past 1 year, my case was just an example case which came forward and it became highlighted and it was reported everywhere and scrutiny was done. But if we scrutinize all the cases, there will be lot many issues which will come up.
No doubt.
So this is like, it is something which is a culture, which is a part of the system. The corruption has become a part of the system. So we can't excuse them saying that if people will suffer, the way the doctors go on
strike. So the hospital should be shut down?
Proper action should be taken as per the law. That is my suggestion.
I want to go across to Ashish Khaitan. Ashish, you've dealt with the government, the Aam Aadmi Party government has dealt with the other case. That case was of the Max Hospital. The point that Jayant makes, and he's talking about the Fortis, it's a different case, but the point he mentions is something that the Aam Aadmi Party has also said, that if a hospital makes a mistake, it should be shut down. You have taken away the license of the Max Hospital in Shalimar Bagh. But then if you look at the statistics, 0.9 hospital beds per 1,000 in India, the lowest among BRICS nations, the lowest number of physicians per 10,000 among BRICS nations. 75% of the population is uninsured. Okay, that's a different number. But the bottom line is we need hospitals. How can you just shut a hospital?
First of all, my heart goes out to Jayant and his family, and please accept my condolences. It's an unfortunate incident, and it should never have happened. Number one. Number two, Vishnu, all the statistics that you have just highlighted tell a very grim tale of the public healthcare services in a country. Successive governments, different state governments, including the central government, over a period of time had abdicated their core responsibility of providing quality healthcare and quality education to their citizens and allowed profiteering and private hospitals, expensive hospitals, to come in. We are not against private hospitals per se. If there is a gap, it will always be filled up by the private hospitals. But private hospitals also are bound by the same oath that government hospitals and doctors working at government hospitals take. They are also having the same level of commitment, or should be having the same level of commitment to public health care and public services as the government hospitals or any public functionary should be having. Now, every second household, whether it's Delhi or any other place in India, will have a story to narrate about medical negligence,
but that's also in public hospitals.
Callous, indifferent behavior.
It's also in public hospitals, right?
I agree with you. And that's what the Aam Aadmi Party government is trying to fix. Aam Aadmi Party government is the only government in the country which is spending 16% of its budget on healthcare. No other government is even spending 3%.
Okay, 1 second, Ashish. I want to get a couple of responses. Firstly, Dr. Vijay Agarwal, since you are speaking on behalf of Max, the point being mentioned is accountability. I think that's what Ashish is trying to say. And he's trying to say that there need to be a uniform set of standards as far as accountability is concerned. And therefore, if you've not been accountable, whatever the case is, then action needs to be taken. What is your response?
See, first of all, I find it very paradoxical that who is talking about commitment to the healthcare. I hope that all the bureaucrats and the politicians of the city of Delhi are only enjoying facilities in the government hospital and not going to a private hospital for their own care. I find it absolutely laughable that an average citizen shudders to go to a public facility. Issue is this, that let's understand that healthcare is a very dangerous place to be in all over the world. In 1998-99, there was a study done in United States with this thing called "To Err is Human," and they showed that 98,000 patients died in United States because of medical errors. This figures will be 10 times in a country like United States, and even after that 98-99, this thing, medical errors and negligence continues to be the third leading cause of death in United States. So the issue is that, first of all, people have to understand that medicine, which used to be relatively simple, inexpensive, but rather probably not as effective, has now become complex, dangerous, but highly technical and expensive.
So now therefore there will be more deaths.
That's number one. That's a fact of life. Now to make
there will be more deaths. Potentially there will be more deaths.
See, what I'm saying is that it is, therefore we are dealing with fire, and to make it safe, to make the healthcare safer, Quality Council of India introduced the concept of accreditation. In accreditation, a hospital is judged on more than 683 objective elements. The assessors go and judge that hospital on those elements to declare you that you are accredited. Now, to tell you that in last 12 years, less than 1% of the hospitals in this country are accredited.
Yeah.
So what I find extremely this thing is, there are very strong statement, and again, as an individual, we are extremely sorry for any incident that happens in a hospital.
However,
it is filled with emotions.
Yes.
But to discuss an individual incident and not talk of the systemic improvement, and when you talk about
I want to go across. I want to just one moment. I want to go across, and I will come to you, Dr. Puri. I know you have a lot to say. and we haven't heard from the Fortis side as yet. But I want to go across to Dr. K.K. Agarwal, the president of the Indian Medical Association. You have your hand raised up, sir, but would you agree that when we debate this entire issue, there are a set of double standards? Because thus far what we have looked at over the last week or so is the falling standards of private hospitals. But if you just look at statistics in Delhi, at Delhi's, the Delhi government sold Children's Hospital, the Chacha Nehru Bal Chikitsalaya, that's reported 5,499 deaths in 5 years. This in December 2014 as per an RTI response. What action had been taken at that stage? 42 children died at the BRD Medical College Hospital in Gorakhpur over 2 days just a few months back in August. What action has the government taken against the hospital? And you know, one can go on and on and on. So the question, Dr. Agarwal, that I'm asking you is there a set of double standards as we continue this debate on private hospitals?
Before going into the double standard, I'm going to read the Fortis report and the Max report, which I have gotten access. The Max report says, Director General of Health Services constituted a committee comprising of senior doctors for inquiring into the said incident and said, committee in its report concluded that the hospital have not kept any proper temperature and vital sign monitor. They are not talking about they did not take it. The mistake is not keeping the record. That is not a criminal offense. Whereas the committee also concluded that the staff nurse on duty were also at fault as they handed over the body of the newborn without any written direction. Now, both of them are not criminal offenses. Now, I come back to the report of the Fortis.
Yes.
This is a 100-page report.
Yes.
And I am only reading out some of the factors because in the media there has been a totally different reflection. The committee says the patient was suffering from dengue shock syndrome and not dengue fever. The mortality is 6 to 30%. The treatment was 15 lakhs was not for dengue fever but for a complicated dengue fever. There is no prima facie evidence of negligence in the management of child during his stay in PICU. It is unlikely that conducting MRI earlier would have affected the course of treatment. There are no guidelines on how much consumables are to be used. However, general guidelines state.
So the bottom line, Dr. Agarwal, that you're trying to say is that the hospital didn't make a mistake. Because there are other parts of that same report which say that the hospital did.
I am, just listen to me. I am not talking about mistakes or no mistakes. I am only talking about it. Some of the points which have been raised in the media, even we got misled.
Okay.
Some of the points, say we are not going into the merits.
Okay, Dr. Agarwal, you mentioned those points. I take those points. I want to go across to Dr. Narottam Puri as well, because, you know, I mean, you've raised a couple of points on Fortis. I want to go across to Dr. Narottam Puri as well. We've got a finite amount of time. Dr. Puri, one of the points which was mentioned to me is that doctors at Fortis, some of them, have now said, you know, look, don't bring complicated cases to us. Take these cases elsewhere, because if we get into this sort of trouble, right, potentially in the future, then you know what's going to happen to us. Is this what you have been encountering? Doctors not willing to, as a result of this case, take on difficult cases?
First of all, let me just start by an old jungle saying which you will relate to, Vishnu, and that is, doctor after an illness and a soldier after a war is always forgotten. And you, as a seasoned war correspondent, should I say, will really understand the ethos behind it. And this was just reminded to me by one of our cardiac surgeons, who incidentally has done the largest number of heart transplants, not just in this country, but in Southeast Asia. Now, the sad part is, probably a soldier, after he has come back from duty, is still respected. The society seems to have given the doctor a completely different reaction. So today,
but that's because society is angry. He is an angry man. He's an angry father.
So am I.
He's upset and sad, and he believes there's been wrongdoing. He's partly right in that.
No, I am not denying. First of all, I have many a times in many a shows that he and I have been together expressed my displeasure. But do you know that what are the feelings of a doctor? Do you think we are heartless people? Now we are being called chores, luteras, and now murderers. This is something that I, as a doctor with 50 years of experience behind me, am not prepared to take, for the simple reason that we are not that. Every doctor has entered this profession in trying to help save a life. This particular case got highlighted for the simple reason that there was a death that occurred. But do you know a similar case in Fortis, Chennai was not highlighted, in which that child survived, in which her heart has also failed, and the bill was 36 lakhs.
To you, is it more about the way this has been reported and less about the case itself?
No, no, no. I'm saying, as Dr. Vijay Agarwal pointed out, as Dr. K.K. Agarwal has repeatedly been saying, medicine is a very, very complicated business these days, for the simple reason, please remember that when we were kids, or when India got independence, I'm talking of 70 years ago, our life expectancy was what? In the 30s. Today it's about 70.
Okay.
You think this has occurred because of medical negligence only? 26 lakh patients have passed through the portals of Fortis. 98% of them survive. But now today the feeling has been created that an Indian is immortal unless killed by his doctor. Is that fair?
Okay. I want to go across to Jayant. I will give you the opportunity as well. Rajni Sharma is an arthritis patient at Max. Rajni, now in this particular branch which has been closed down by the government in Delhi, you will not be able to go. What are you going to do? Rajni, can you hear me?
हेलो
Rajni, can you hear me?
हाँ जी
रजनी जी, आप
Yes,
एक
yes,
आर्थराइटिस
हाँ।
पेशेंट है, और अब आप क्या करेंगे,
जी।
क्योंकि ये वाला मैक्स हॉस्पिटल इस ब्रांच को बंद किया गया है, तो अब आप कहाँ जाएंगे?
हाँ, मेरे को इस बात से बहुत ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम हुई है। मैं लास्ट 6-7 ईयर्स से मैक्स हॉस्पिटल से कनेक्टेड हूँ और मैं वहाँ जाती रही हूँ। हमारा फैमिली भी उधर वहीं है, वहीं पे सारा ट्रीटमेंट चलता है। तो मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा शॉक्ड हूँ मैं कि अब आगे क्या करना है, क्योंकि कहीं से भी अगर आप लिंक करते हैं, एक डॉक्टर के पास पूरी हिस्ट्री देते हैं, फिर उसके साथ आप सेटिस्फाई होते हैं, उनकी दवाइयों से सेटिस्फाई होते हैं। मुझे कभी भी ऐसी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आई कि मुझे कोई शिकायत हो डॉक्टर से, और बहुत अच्छे से उन्होंने सारा कुछ एग्जामिन किया। और अब मुझे ये इस बात की परेशानी है कि अब मैं फिर दोबारा से वो पूरी शुरुआत करूं, फिर दोबारा से कोई इस केस को समझेगा, फिर उसको आगे दवाइयाँ चलेंगी, तो मुझे इस बात से बहुत परेशानी है।
Ashish, how would you respond to this? Because in this particular branch of Max, there are also dialysis patients. You will know that getting dialysis in this city is extremely difficult. There is a rush for spots. Dialysis patients cannot necessarily travel very far. But now you've shut down this hospital effectively. What's going to happen to those patients, not just people who come for an emergency surgery or something like that? What about patients who need to keep visiting doctors? Patients like Rajni who depend on a particular hospital. Where will they go?
Vishnu, first of all, I am quite disappointed with the framework that a couple of doctors and experts on this panel and some of the questions that you have framed as if it is some kind of a war that Delhi government has launched against doctor community per se. Let me tell you very authoritatively and very responsibly on your show that we are not against the doctor community. Number one, we are certainly not against private doctors. We have utmost respect for the medical fraternity. It is the question of fixing institutional responsibility. If you pack an alive child in a polythene bag, then I think a line needs to be drawn. And that's what the Delhi government has done. If the Delhi government has done something which is wrong, then there are courts, and I'm sure that the courts will pitch in and they will be reviewed and so on. But there were institutional problems with one particular branch of Max Hospital, which is Shalimar Bagh, and on 3 or 4 counts there have been repeated offences and inadequacies and violations by that particular branch of the Max Hospital, for which action has been taken. Now, as far as this patient or that patient is concerned, it is not the job of the Delhi government, it's the job of the Max Hospital to take responsibility. They are running a chain of hospitals in this city. I'm sure they can find alternative arrangements. And Delhi government is equally sensitive to the problem faced by patient which you have just brought on your program. But for Delhi government to not take any action and just be a mute spectator despite repeated violations by a particular branch of a particular chain of hospitals,
Okay.
I think is saying that you don't take any action because doctors are doing an exceptional job.
Okay,
yes, they are doing
Dr.
exceptional
Vijay
job.
Agarwal
They
wants
are
to
saving
respond to
lives.
that,
But
and
we
then I'll
will
go
not
across to
tolerate
Jayant
medical
Last.
negligence.
Again,
Dr. Vijay
And-
Agarwal, you
and
made lots of
negligence which
allegations.
borders on criminality.
Ashish, we listen patiently to you. You made lots of points. He wants to respond on behalf of Max. Let him do that. Go ahead.
This is a classic case of wrapping a negligence with the dose of emotions. The issue is this, that you are talking about a 22, 23 weeks gestation newborn which is not viable. That life is not viable. What happened was that because of a severe hypothermia at that particular time, the child has no heart, no respiration. And yes, all right, there was a, you can say, a lapse in the point that they did not wait enough, etc., but the child is not viable. The children were duly wrapped in proper this thing in bandages and given to the parents. At their request, they asked, while going out, they asked a nurse or somebody that can you help, how will we carry both these children? Now, just like the hospital always tries to say, please go and help a patient, that particular person in her wisdom gave a plastic bag which was available nearby at the request of the parents. Not that the hospital said, all right, let us pack these children into this and, and give it like this. Because the children were wrapped, that hypothermia, there was a little bit of warmth and the child showed sign of life. Now, let me tell you one thing, that treating that child, in fact, anybody who is trying to treat that child should have given counseling again to the parents that this is not a viable life.
Okay, Dr. Agarwal, I've run out of time. You have a brief point to mention. Go ahead. Yes, Jan.
So the point I was trying to make was, like, if the doctors themselves are saying treatment, healthcare is now like a live wire.
Yes,
It's a shame for all Indians here. I am not treating the patient as an engineer. I am going to a doctor who is entitled, who has gone through a formal education, and he is treating my child. So I have all rights to say if something goes wrong with that. And they don't have the right to say that it's like touching a live wire. They are going all out and claiming it all the things. If Fortis was not wrong, why the hell the Fortis management guys, they came forward and offered me money. They have themselves written to me that they have overcharged. They have sent a refund letter to me. So all those things they have themselves accepted. And what's the point? We are defending them like anything. You are the institutes who should be questioning them.
Okay.
You are just defending them. I am seeing the doctors behaving like a lawyers now for each other.
Can I just respond?
Well,
one minute.
yeah.
Just I will say that
We are
please,
completely out of time.
That's what I'm saying. It is not why are we coming, let's say, why are we discussing this in media? Why did you not use the consumer forum or a judicial process?
But he has a right to make an appeal through whoever he wants. I take that.
No.
One sec, sir. He's made a point against your hospital. Would you like to very briefly just say anything? Just so that I'm fair, everybody has an opportunity.
I don't think whatever I may say is going to assuage him at all. All I'm saying is that instead of being like a Khap Panchayat, we should allow due process of law and a due natural justice, because if any doctor is guilty, there is the Medical Council of India, the Delhi Medical Council. Let it do its processing.
Okay, let the courts and let there be a particular process. Gentlemen, I'm out of time completely. It's been a polite discussion. That's more than what I had hoped for, but it's the issues remain unanswered over here. The issue of accountability, who is responsible. I'd like to thank all of you very much for joining us.